Guys, Mel Kiper was asked to combine this year's draft class with last year's. And how about this? He ended up ranking Kyler Murray behind Tua Tagovailoa, who, as we all know, has not taken an NFL snap and is coming back from injury. And Shannon, I know you are a Tua fan, but do you actually believe that Tua is going to have a better NFL career than Kyler?
I do. I like Tua. I like Tua better than I like Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow. Skip, Tua was 22-2. Playing in the SEC, and both of his losses were to the eventual national champion. Clemson in the national title game, and he lost to LSU. Other than that, he's unblemished. And you know what the SEC is. It's the preeminent conference in all of football. It's the closest thing that we have to the NFL, and that's why they go down there and get those guys from Alabama, from Georgia, from LSU, from Auburn, from Mississippi, from all those schools, because they know they compete against the best. So they know what it's like to come to that next level because you're going to have to compete against the best. Skip, look, when I look at Tua, the thing that I like most about him, Skip, is that he did what he did for more than a year. Joe Burrow had an outstanding, I believe it's the greatest college seasoned. I'm not saying he's the greatest college player, but he had the greatest college season ever. Kyler Murray had one of the 2 or 3 greatest college seasons ever, but they only did it 1 year. Now, we remember what Joe Burrow was his junior year. Nobody thought Joe Burrow was even capable. I don't even know if Joe Burrow thought he could dream of a season like which he had, Skip. But all we saw was Tua do it game in and game out. Skip, his ability to throw the football is second to none. His anticipatory skills is second to none. Skip, when you play in the NFL and you play quarterback, it's not about guys getting open. You must throw them open. If you try to throw a football to a guy and he's open, by the time you release that ball, it's either going to get knocked out or it's going to get picked. His skills are as good as we've seen, Skip. We see the highlights, but I watched him in actual games throwing the ball. Skip, he's good. He's as good as advertised. I believe he's a Pro Bowl player. Go to the right situation. I believe he can lead a team to the promised land. That's how much confidence I have in Tua. And so I have no reason to believe, Mel Kiper's been doing this, Skip, probably equally as long as I've been alive. Because as long as I can go back, Skip, I've always heard about Mel Kiper and drafting. And so he's seen a lot. He's broken out a lot of tape, watched a lot of guys. But for me, Tua is the better of the 3 quarterbacks, and there's no question in my mind about that.
You conveniently left out Tua's performance in the SEC championship game in 2018 when he was abysmal against Georgia that day. I don't know how that escaped your mind. He didn't get the L in that game.
Did he win?
Because somebody named Jalen Hurts.
Did he get the dub?
Jalen Hurts came in and saved the day in the fourth quarter by outscoring Georgia 14-0 and showing you that he didn't deserve to lose his job. And he showed you that again last year at the University of Oklahoma. But the point is, Tua was 10 of 25 that day against Georgia for a grand total of 164 yards with 2 interceptions and a QBR of 29 on a scale of 0 to 100, 29. That was an abysmal big game performance by Tua, and he wasn't a whole lot better in the national championship game against Clemson when his QBR was only 59 with 2 more interceptions, and he wasn't all that much better last year at Tuscaloosa. He threw for a whole lot of yards because he had 4 receivers who could go in the first round of the NFL draft, but he threw 2 more interceptions that had a QBR of only 59 at Tuscaloosa. So I just gave you 3 big games in which he was scary bad if you're projecting him into the National Football League. Now, let me make it scary worse. Tua has had, according to Rex Ryan on ESPN, 5 surgeries while he's played college football. He had a broken index finger on his throwing hand. Then he had a knee injury that was sort of undisclosed how bad it was. He had a quad pull that was bad that cost him games. He had 2 surgeries on his ankles called tightrope surgeries. And then he had the career-threatening hip surgery on a fractured hip. And I don't know if he's fully recovered. I know he keeps putting out hype videos, and I start to wonder Why do you have to keep showing us how healthy you are? Maybe you could just let it speak for itself when it's time to find out. I know we're in a bad period right now when you can't actually go to the teams to have their doctors examine you, but it feels like he's maybe overhyping himself. Kyler Murray, Shannon Sharpe, played all 14 games at the University of Oklahoma that year without getting hurt. He played all 16 games for the worst team in the NFL last year, the Arizona Cardinals, because they got to pick him because they had the first overall pick, with one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League. He played all 16 games. He has been durable. He is a little big man. And again, Tua is not exactly a huge man himself. He's 2 inches taller than Kyler, at about 6 feet tall, and Tua weighs maybe 10 more pounds than Kyler. But Kyler plays strong. And Kyler showed you last year that not only was he a better college player in the big games than Tua, but in the biggest games that Arizona played last year, he played big, twice against the 49ers, nearly beat them at Arizona. And they won 5 games and tied 1 last year, and I still don't know how they did it. They almost beat Baltimore at Baltimore. They tied Detroit to start the year in their opener. And then the wins, they did win at Cincinnati, which is hard to do when you were the worst team. Then they beat Atlanta at home. They won at the Giants. They beat Cleveland. They won at Seattle.
Wow.
I thought he had an extraordinary year. He was 20 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, but he ran for 7 more touchdowns. So he had 27 total touchdowns, which for a rookie was extraordinary. So Shannon, he's already on the way.
Hold on. So what did you say his stats were for last year? His touchdowns? How many touchdowns did he throw for?
20, but he ran for 7 more because he can fly.
Oh, he threw for 20 touchdowns. Okay. Yeah. Do you realize over the last 10 games, he had 13 touchdowns and 8 interceptions and averaged 206 yards passing? That's over the last 6 games. Can you tell me the team that Kyler Murray beat in college that was the equivalent of LSU, Oklahoma, or Georgia? Can you tell me the team that he beat?
You mean, well, he played for Oklahoma. So what, I mean, he had 2 big shootout games with Texas.
No. Stop it. I said, can you tell me the team that he beat in college that's the equivalent of Georgia, that's the equivalent of LSU? Can you tell me the team that he beat that was the equivalent of those? See, I didn't mention that how he came off the bench and won the national championship game that Jalen Hurts got credit for because he started. I didn't mention that. But since you want to go there and bring it up about how Jalen Hurts came in and won the SEC title, tell me how. Now, which is bigger? Coming in off the bench and starting the second half of never starting a game in college and winning the national championship, or coming in and starting, say, playing 2 quarters after you've been a starter your whole career? Now, which is more difficult? But I need you to get back and tell me, who did Kyler Murray? Because we saw what happened when he gets to get Alabama. He got spanked. And we see every year Oklahoma, when they go against somebody from the SEC, they get spanked. Got spanked.
Timeout. Is 417 total yards against Alabama getting spanked? 417 against Alabama. Whoa. He threw for 308 with 2 touchdowns, and he ran for 109 with another touchdown. So that's 417 combined yards without his best receiver, Hollywood Brown, who couldn't play in that game.
Well,
so wait a second. You don't have your go-to guy, just the way he didn't have DeAndre Hopkins last year in Arizona, and you put up 417 combined yards against St. Nick's defense in the national semifinal? Extraordinary. I think that's beyond anything Tua ever did for Alabama.
Oh, Skip. Now, you just told me Tua played terrible. He threw for 410, 4 touchdowns, and had another 30 yards rushing against LSU. They scored 41 and lose, and you told me he played terrible. But you're going to talk about a guy that got beat by 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns on a neutral field. But you're going to talk about he played great. Come on, Skip, now.
Wait a second. If you actually watched Tua against LSU at Tuscaloosa,
I did.
He was 21 of 40. 21 of 40. He missed throw after throw after throw. He's got Jerry Jeudy and Ruggs, first-round picks. He's got Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith, who well could be first-round picks a year from now. I'm sorry, that's a track team. That might be the all-time greatest receiving core we've ever seen in college football. And you were 21 of 40? And Najee Harris caught like 60 balls himself coming out of the backfield. 21 of 40, your QBR was 59 in that game. That's not exactly rising to the occasion.
So let me ask you a question. Is Hollywood Brown, so if I'm not mistaken, Hollywood Brown was a first-round draft pick. Do you believe C.D. Lamb will be a first-round draft pick? Because those are the guys that Kyler Murray was throwing to. Now, you keep talking about what Tua was throwing to, but Joe Burrow had Jamar Chase, Jordan Jefferson, Marshall, Thad Moss. Are any of those guys going to be high draft picks? I just need to know. Because you make it seem like only Tua had guys to throw the ball to. But Joe Burrow also had guys. He had the Biletnikoff Award winner. He had the SEC, had a guy that caught, two guys caught for over, what? You throw 60 touchdowns, you got a bunch of guys that got 15 or more touchdowns receiving. And C.D. Lamb, was he any good? Hollywood Brown, was he any good? What about those running backs that Kyler Murray was throwing to? Skip, this notion that only Tua had talent, skill players to throw to, now you know you being disingenuous. Because Kyler Murray had guys also. And so did Joe Burrow. No. But I believe Tua's skills throwing the football is better than both of those two guys. And had he not gotten hurt, he would have been the #1 pick overall.
Okay, again, Kyler Murray against Alabama had only C.D. Lamb, period, end of story. It was one go-to receiver, while Tua has had 4. And you can name how many cases of Diet Dew you'd like to bet on this. Alabama's 4 receivers will cumulatively go higher in the draft than LSU's 4 best receivers from this past year. Would you like to make that bet?
Yeah, no, Skip, I'm not denying that Tua had unbelievable talent to throw the ball to. But Skip, you see when he was out, imagine, I believe had he not gotten hurt, they still would have made the college football playoff. But even though the young guy came in and played well against Auburn, Skip, that's not Tua. They would have blew the doors off Auburn. We know that. It would have been very interesting to see, are they the 4 seed and play LSU again here at the Chick-fil-A Bowl for an opportunity to face Clemson in the national title game? Because that's what probably would have happened, but we'll never know. But looking at these guys and watching these guys in college, I like Tua better. I believe his ability to throw the football for distance and accuracy is better than is better than Burrow and Kyler.
Shannon, how can you defend Tua's fragility, his brittleness, his inability to stay healthy? How do you defend that?
Skip, a lot of it is just luck. I mean, Kyler Murray got hit 48 times. He got sacked 48 times. Do you believe he can take, say, over the next 10 years, 48 sacks a season? You believe that? A man that size can take that kind of punishment? Because I do not.
Shannon, he's a little power plant. He is really put together. It's why he had so much power as a hitter in baseball. It's why Billy Beane decided to spend or waste a first-round pick, because Billy Beane thought that Kyler Murray could be an all-star baseball player. If you watch the way he carries himself with this elite, almost arrogant poise of somebody who just knows he's better than the rest on the football field or the baseball field. I don't get that kind of body language from Tua. I don't think Tua believes in himself the way Kyler believes in himself. Just on intangibles, if you just watch the two carry themselves, you'll say, I'll take that guy.
I won't. Give me Tua. And somebody's going to be very, very lucky to get Tua, because he's going to be in their program for the next 10 to 14, 15 years, and they're going to win a lot of football games.
So the point is, if we're throwing Joe Burrow into this, I'll give in to this. I think that Joe Burrow, just because of his pocket passing skills, I believe that he could be a little better long-term than Kyler. But Kyler's still going to be very good. Kyler already is tied with Tom Brady in the MVP odds for next year. I think that's wrong, but he's tied with him for 9th best MVP odds because he got DeAndre Hopkins. So to me, there's rampant speculation that Miami at 5 wants, that they want Joe Burrow. They want to trade up with all their draft arsenal of picks to try to trade with Cincinnati because even they agree that Burrow is better than Tua. So if you want to go Burrow, I'll go Burrow. But again, Kyler is better than Tua.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.